I'm Mason Mount. You're listening to the London is Blue podcast.
The biggest, I think, discussion that Chelsea fans are really excited to have right now is Barkley versus Mount, especially if we play three across the top. Who would essentially hold that maybe number 10 role a little bit, who in the middle of the three, assuming that maybe like a Pulisic and a Willian and Pedro can play out on the width a little bit more. Everyone's kind of looking at Barkley and Mount. So right away, Barkley and Mount both had 45 minutes to make their case to Frank. Who should be firmly in his plans. Barkley offered a first half goal from a free kick. That was a peach of a free kick. That was fantastic. Mount came on in the second half and interchanged well as well. He had his first goal up a pass that Tammy had intercepted. So he is such a nuisance in the attack. And then lastly, Mount managed a second goal after Mishi intercepted a terrible pass from the keeper. Miazga played him on side and Mount slotted it home. So again, kicking off this one, Nick, Mason Mount, Ross Barkley. The big question recently was, is Mason doing enough to get on the team? Now everyone's going, well, he's on the team. Now, is he going to be a starter from the beginning or not?
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like, they both have different characteristics, and you see them both kind of starring in preseason. They're probably the biggest movers in preseason, I'd say, without a doubt, both of these guys. And what's nice when you think about how they both play is Ross is obviously going to be more physical. He's going to be willing to, I think, try and take on people a little bit more. And Mason wants to pass and move. And he did that to great effect in the second half and obviously got a little bit lucky with the complete shambles of goalkeeping that happened for the second one. But it's really interesting to watch two players, one who has confidence from last season and working with Frank, the other who's been given a new lease on life under Frank at Chelsea, and watch them both, Dan, take over and try and make moves. I mean, it's what competition is designed to do within a squad.
Yeah, I mean, again, the only people who are going to benefit is Frank Lampard and all of Chelsea, because if we have Barkley and Mount both enjoying the competition and realizing that there could even be space in this type of 4-4-2 in the diamond, where you play Mount outside, you play Barkley kind of in that more central role, and you can get both of them onto the pitch. And I think if you're going to run with the hot hand, as it were, and preseason ends the way, if we're ending today, those are the two players who, Barkley, Mount has the most goals. Barkley is tied for second most goals in preseason. Those are the two players you would want to find a way to get into any starting 11 that is going to go take on Manchester United. The only other person who would be ahead of them in the team sheet is N'Golo Kante, George. But I think if I'm Frank Lampard, I want to find a way to maximize both Barkley and Mount heading into that first game of the season.
I think if we take it back to that 4-2-3-1 that we've seen so often, you could have Mason Mount out on the left with Ross playing behind the striker. I think that works really well, which obviously leaves that right-hand side position open. And I think Christian Pulisic would be my option in that case, in terms of what we can look for as the best 11. But I think you're right. I think both players have offered all they could in pre-season. For example, if we compare them to two other players who have had an opportunity to make a claim, Drinkwater and Bakayoko, there is such a stark difference in the quality, the abundant quality that Mason Mount has at such a young age is incredible. It's exciting. And Ross, we've seen it in the Premier League before. He was proven at Everton. He's had a difficult time of things at Chelsea, but he's had his moments. And I think that if Frank has got any headache right now, it is, do I trust them both to play in the same team? And can Mason Mount play on the left? Because I don't think Ross can play on the left, but he certainly can play behind the striker.
Mm-hmm. And
yeah.
Can you trust him for a full 90?
What was that, Mike?
If you can trust him for a full 90. I think the one interesting thing is that with the potential of rotation, maybe you give Barkley a good 60 minutes and then let Mount come in to finish off a game with, more tired legs. It's a good flexibility. I don't know if either of them have what they need to go the full length at this point.
Yeah, I mean, it does bring up a really good point, though, Brandon. Like, we played 59 matches last year in all competitions. there's plenty of minutes to go around if we go deep in cup competitions. Like you would assume, even if there was a situation where it appeared that Barkley was the preferred Premier League starter and Mount was the preferred, in the number 10 position, preferred cup competition starter, they'd both have enough minutes potentially to make it worth their while. But I agree with George that, we need goals, period, from whatever position we can get them. And if it's midfielders contributing 60% of our goals in the first 4 weeks of the season, then let's find a way to get the most midfielders on who can score goals.
Yeah. Well, I wonder, I mean, obviously I didn't watch Derby last season. Did Frank rotate much? I mean, I know he probably has more depth this season than he did last, but
his issue with Mount last season is Mount did get fatigued and did kind of run into some hamstring fitness that took him out of a couple of games. But
gotcha.
Frank did not rotate extremely heavily. Like he did kind of make some, kind of try to keep the center back pairing very situated, did those situationally try to make some adjustments. Yeah, I think the concern I would have more is like over 100 and almost 80 matches for Everton. Ross Barkley only has 27 goals. So like if we're talking about where the goals are coming from, I mean, his best season saw 12 goals, and Mason Mount last season had 11 goals, 5 assists across all competitions. So again, that's a championship, so we'll caveat it appropriately.
Yeah.
But if I can only fit one into the lineup, I'm probably betting more on the potential of a player like Mason, who is not only good offensively, but also offers the defensive work rate and responsibility of that high press that I don't know if Ross would be capable to do, to the Mike's point, for that 90-minute duration.
I mean, I'm interested to find out. I think this is great. Like you said, just the fact that, I mean, you have two guys that offer different things in that position. I mean, that's good. Frank it talked about just tactical adaptation and flexibility and guys that can, move maybe across the front three. Maybe that's where, Mason has a little bit, of an advantage there. But,
well, they all do. They all have an advantage. I mean, think about it. Williams played as number 10 before. He's played as a right winger. He's played as a left winger. Pedro can clearly do the number 10 and the right wing. Pulisic has played the number 10 and the right wing predominantly. Has played left side in preseason, but I don't think that's where he's going to end up. And then Barkley and Mount both can play deeper in midfield, or they can play in the number 10. Like there's a lot of different combinations that you can throw together there with tactically flexible players that, should we have injuries or should we, need to spell somebody for a match or two, that I think you can find another combo that works there. I mean, you just look at the types of players we have there, and they may not be, every single player that we'd want, if we had a normal transfer window, but you have a lot of flexibility, I think.